your own platform. He said this on your platform that he put up $1 million to get Pac here.
Yeah, correct. He was around Puffy and Puffy made a comment.
Stop letting these people use you, man. You didn't want to be pushing death row, you was on death row. That's not neither here nor there.
We are standing in the aftermath of an earthquake that's been rumbling for nearly 3 decades, and suddenly the ground is splitting beneath us. Imagine it, 28 years after Shakur's violent, headline-stealing exit from the Las Vegas Strip, the man's own brother, Mopim Shakur, is stepping forward. Not as a grieving relative begging for closure, but as a whistleblower on a mission. With the entire hip-hop world spinning on a cracked foundation, Mopim's new claims hit like a siren in the night. He's not content with quietly mourning. He's here to shatter the so-called truth, hurling accusations at one of the industry's surviving giants. We're going to see, Mopim told Diddy on the phone years ago, as if prophesying this very moment. Because now, everything we thought we knew about Shakur's fate is up for grabs.
The boy Puffy called me, though. Puffy called me back in the day. He called me, he was like, I just want you to know I ain't have nothing to do with your brother's,
The story we've all been sold, the familiar clean-cut tale of a drive-by, a beef between rival labels, and a bullet-riddled BMW, never did sit quite right. Now Mopim's voice is cracking the surface, casting fresh doubt on Diddy's long-standing denials. Mopim paints himself as a man haunted by the cracks in the official story, by the phone calls and the rumors that just wouldn't fade away, by the way the power shifted in the industry after Shakur's supposed demise. He doesn't outright declare Diddy guilty, but he doesn't exactly let him off the hook either. The suspicion hangs in the air like the stench of a crime scene never cleaned, and Mopim's skepticism is contagious. I don't believe it was a 100% honest statement, he says about Diddy's old denials. And just like that, the internet erupts. Suddenly, the hip-hop family feud isn't just about East Coast versus West Coast. It's about who's hiding what, and who's willing to keep secrets for a price. The timing of these allegations couldn't be more dramatic. Diddy, once the untouchable mogul, is sitting behind bars, not for Shakur's demise, but for a laundry list of headline-stealing scandals involving trafficking and coercion. Prosecutors are promising a trial that could put the so-called bad boy away for life. If that isn't enough to make the most hardened industry players sweat, here's the latest bombshell. Federal agents raiding Diddy's properties, sifting through his carefully curated empire, and stumbling onto what some insiders are now calling the Cuba files. These are not just dusty bank statements or another random scandal scrapbook. These files are reportedly stuffed with documents that point straight at the ultimate conspiracy, that Shakur never lost his pulse in Las Vegas, but instead slipped away, helped by shadowy figures to a new life off American soil. We're not talking about vague fan theories and Photoshop hoaxes here. These are hard drives and folders seized by the same authorities who now have Diddy's future hanging by a thread.
So let's talk about it, man. So you feel like it was bigger than Orlando shooting Pac. You feel like it's more to the story. You don't think it was that simple?
I feel like it's bigger because
if the Cuba files are genuine, the implications are world-shattering. It's one thing to speculate in chat rooms or swap wild theories at barbershops, but it's another to picture law enforcement leafing through paperwork that suggests the biggest loss in rap history might have been a staged vanishing act. Mopim himself all but dares the world to question the official timeline. There's talk of private jets, swapped bodies, hush money for hospital staff, and the fingerprints of the Black Panther network, of which Shakur's family, let's not forget, were prominent players. Written all over the alleged escape route, Michael Nice, the former security officer who fanned the flames by claiming to have personally helped Shakur out of the US and into Caribbean exile, wound up conveniently out of the picture, right, as he promised to bring proof. But proof in this story is always one phone call, one mysterious accident, or one missing hard drive away from vanishing for good.
I mean, that's Puffy's homie. You know what I mean? They have a relationship. They're friendly. They know each other.
Now we've got the first big rumor that ties all these strings into a noose. Diddy's so-called secret deal with Suge Knight. Sure, the public feud between Bad Boy and Death, Row Records made for perfect tabloid fodder, with shootouts, diss tracks, and magazine covers that blood drama. But what if that animosity was as real as professional wrestling beef? A few veteran insiders, none willing to go on record, claim there was back-channel communication between the two camps. Enough, at least, to make the timeline smell fishy. And it doesn't hurt the theory that Suge Knight, the man who should have been Shakur's shield, sat next to him in that BMW and emerged with barely a scratch, while the shooter's aim was apparently surgical enough to silence only one voice forever. If this was a setup, it was one for the ages.
Was the incentive just revenge, or was the incentive for that supposed money that Puffy supposedly put up.
Here's where things twist into even murkier territory: the missing witness conspiracy. As Diddy's own world comes crashing down, his current trial is careening into chaos, thanks to the unexplained vanishing of a key witness known only as Victim 3. Prosecutors who had hyped her explosive testimony about Diddy's alleged abuses have had to admit in open court that they can't find her. No calls answered, no attorney on the line, nothing but silence where there should be a bombshell. Is she hiding? Was she bought off? Or, in the darkest reading, was she helped into disappearing? The fact that prosecutors aren't sure she'll ever surface again doesn't just threaten their case against Diddy, it pours gasoline on the wider suspicion that anyone who gets too close to the truth about Diddy, Shakur, or the tangled business of 1990 as hip-hop might suddenly drop off the map. The backdrop to all of this is a criminal trial so toxic it's drawing comparisons to the worst scandals of our time. Prosecutors say they'll show jurors seized footage from Diddy's so-called freak-off parties, stacks of lubricant bottles, and evidence of intimidation campaigns stretching back years. He faces the possibility of life behind bars. But as the walls close in, the headlines keep circling back to that old bloody intersection in Las Vegas. After all, the star witness in the Shakur case, Dwayne Keefe D. Davis, has openly accused Diddy of putting $1 million price tag on Shakur's head, and did so under circumstances that would have made any mob boss sweat. Does he play a role in this thing? The detective asked, and Keefe D's answer was chillingly simple. Yeah. The courts have the tape, confession, the names, the timeline, and more than a whiff of motive, yet somehow every time the noose tightens, someone finds a way to wriggle free.
I ain't no cop. I ain't no lawyer. I watch Law and Order. You know what I'm saying? And the way this is going, it looks like a certain type of thing is going down.
The question that won't fade is the one Mopim Shakur first put to Diddy himself years ago. We're going to see. Every time we think we're closer, the case takes another turn. Witnesses go missing, evidence gets locked away, rumors resurface, and suddenly there's a new lead that suggests maybe Shakur's own mother wasn't just speaking in metaphor when she said her son chose to leave quietly. Is it plausible that a megastar at the peak of his fame could fake his own end and vanish, only to be spotted in a Havana bar or a Belize nightclub decades later? The so-called Machiavelli theory, named for the Italian philosopher who wrote about faking one's end to fool enemies, still haunts every internet rabbit hole. People point to the 7 posthumous albums, the cryptic liner notes, the supposed slip-ups on autopsy reports. If you believe the whispers, Suge Knight himself told reporters years ago, you know he's somewhere smoking a Cuban cigar on an island. If so, the punchline to the greatest unsolved drama in music history might still be waiting in the wings, preparing his encore.
What's been happening? First of all, like everybody knows, the time period, 27 years.
But what happens if the Cuba files actually confirm it all? If the private security and hospital bribes are more than a myth, if body doubles and jet pilots helped orchestrate the most outrageous exit since Elvis, what does that say about the entire industry? Suddenly, every friendship, every rivalry, every dollar earned or lost in those wild years would need a second look. Diddy, the mogul who seemed to rise from tragedy to become hip-hop's kingmaker, would instead be painted as the world's slickest chess player, or maybe just the last one left holding the bag. And as if the mix wasn't potent enough, we're now staring at a federal case where even the authorities can't guarantee their own witnesses' safety. With a million questions circling, the industry is gripped by the sense that someone, somewhere, is orchestrating the narrative from the shadows. Mopim Shakur's refusal to let the story go quiet, his willingness to point the finger back at the powerful, keeps the wounds raw. Each new leak, each seized file, each vanishing witness is another tremor that threatens to bring the whole edifice crashing down. We're not just chasing the answer to who silenced Shakur, we're staring at the possibility that he's been watching us this whole time, one step ahead, waiting to see if the world is finally ready to hear the real story.
I feel mad still that my brother, first of all,
The stakes now are as high as ever, because those Cuba files, ripped from vaults inside Diddy's own compounds, have thrown the entire saga into nuclear territory. For all we know, the files could be little more than smoke and mirrors, a clever flex by a mogul desperate to keep his grip on power. But what if, inside those folders, investigators really did find blueprints for an escape? Or detailed records of hush money paid out to the right hands at the wrong moments. In a story where the truth has always been the most dangerous commodity, the mere existence of these files is its own kind of threat. One industry veteran claims that among the digital evidence, there are spreadsheets tracking secret payments, amounts too large to ignore, names redacted or hidden behind shell companies with ties to both the music business and a handful of political operators from the 1000. 990S. The implication? If these files reach a courtroom, no one at the top is safe.
Oh, but I'm still a little suspicious about the timing and how it's all rolled out here.
We're not just speculating about suitcases of cash traded in the back rooms of LA clubs. One former road manager who claims to have handled logistics for multiple A-list artists in the Death Row and Bad Boy era insists the Cuba files may contain evidence of government officials turning a blind eye. Imagine the blowback if those records ever see the light of day. Suddenly, it's not only Diddy fighting for his reputation, but an entire system that has protected its own for decades. The web of payoffs, threats, and silent handshakes reaches far beyond the music world, feeding into that all-too-familiar American tradition. When the secrets get too dangerous, the evidence gets buried, and the witnesses get buried. And let's not kid ourselves, when Mopim's family lawyer Alex Spiro gets involved, yes, the same attorney who danced Alec Baldwin out of the Rust shooting trial, suddenly we're watching an actual battle between a family seeking answers and a corporate empire that's been playing the long game since before most of us could drive.
It sort of seems like, they're trying to minimalize it to just gain.
Mopim, who's lost too much already, is tired of waiting. He told Piers Morgan, "The truth is still yet to come out, so we're going to see." That's not just a soundbite, it's a warning. It's why the Shakur family has dropped a small fortune to pry open legal doors that the LAPD and Vegas detectives left shut years ago. They're convinced there's more at stake than justice for Shakur. This is about exposing an entire network built on silence, money, and fear. And every day the Cuba files remain locked down is another day the old guard can breathe easy. But if Spiro and his team actually get their hands on those documents, it's game on. Suddenly, the conspiracy theories that have lived in the shadows start to look a little less crazy. And the public's appetite for answers starts to look like a threat. As if the legal circus wasn't already wild enough, the shadow of Keefe D is growing longer by the hour. Dwayne Keefe D Davis, the only man actually charged in connection with Shakur's shooting, has made no secret of his own story. In a taped police interview that prosecutors entered into evidence, Diddy's name pops up 47 times. 47! That's not a cameo, that's a starring role. Keefe D claims Diddy offered a cool $1 million for the job. Rattled by Shakur's infamous diss track and eager to shut down the West Coast threat for good. According to Keefe D, Diddy told him, "I'll give anything for that dude's head." Maybe it was bravado, maybe it was a moment of weakness. But Keefe D swears the meeting went down, the deal was made, and the price was understood. Mother-freaking millions, as he put it. Then came the bullets, the BMW, and the night that changed hip-hop history forever.
Keefe D named Diddy 77 times in court documents related to Tupac's.
The math gets even murkier when we ask why Keefe D's arrest finally happened now, after years of boasting about his role. For 2 decades, Keefe D seemed untouchable, a man who'd already confessed but never paid a price. Some insiders believe that's by design. If you buy the speculation, Keefe D's arrest isn't about justice, it's about leverage. The feds already had him on tape, so what changed? Some say it's about turning the screws on bigger fish, using Keefe D as bait to finally drag someone else, maybe Diddy himself, into the courtroom. Others think it's a classic distraction tactic. Keep the public fixated on a single bad guy, while the true architects of the cover-up stay out of the spotlight. Either way, Keefe D's words have become the most toxic evidence in the case, ricocheting through courtrooms and news feeds like an echo that just won't fade. Let's be honest, we're living in a world where the difference between rumor and fact has never been fuzzier, and this case is Exhibit A. 3 industry veterans we spoke to all tell the same story. Nobody in the business really believes Shakur's exit was as simple as the headlines made it seem. There's too much money at stake, too many careers built or broken on the back of that tragedy. If Diddy really did bankroll the hit, as Keefe D and multiple court documents now allege, then every deal signed in the years that followed, every mansion, every chart-topping single, every headline-grabbing party was built on top of that foundation. And if he didn't, why does the narrative keep circling back, dragging his name through every new scandal and every late-night court filing?
3 law firms on retainer. I don't know how much money is coming in, but I know that a lot of money is going out every single month for Diddy.
Meanwhile, the clock keeps ticking for those hoping for a final answer. The Diddy trial is scheduled to last weeks, maybe months, with each day bringing new leaks, new headlines, and new reasons for fans to ask, what are they hiding? Homeland Security found thousands of bottles of personal lubricant, tapes from those notorious freak-off parties, and files that point to a pattern of coercion and manipulation spanning decades. And with Diddy's bail denied for the 3rd time, we have to wonder, is the old king of hip-hop finally cornered? Or is he about to slip through the cracks once again? Mopim Shakur isn't counting on the system to deliver. He wants to see Diddy explain himself in a courtroom, with the world watching and the evidence on full display.
I think that they don't want, if they was in any of those freak-off tapes, if they played a part in any of those Diddy sessions, they don't want it to get out to the general public to make up their...
But even if the courtrooms do their work, some secrets may never escape the vaults. The most haunting aspect of this saga isn't the unanswered questions, but the sense that the people who could bring closure, hospital staff, security teams, music execs, maybe even politicians, have either vanished, signed airtight NDAs, or cashed out for silence. The missing witness in Diddy's trafficking case isn't just a trial complication, it's a warning shot. Someone, somewhere, is pulling strings to keep certain stories from ever reaching the jury. When a witness with explosive testimony about Diddy's past disappears days before trial, it's hard not to see a familiar pattern. And every time the Shakur family or an ambitious attorney gets close to prying open the truth, the gears of power start to grind, churning out rumors, leaks, and new distractions to keep the public's eye off the real story.
Sean has to take responsibility for what he did as an individual. Sean is the one who pulled that gun out. Sean is the one who shot. So he has to take responsibility for that.
So here's where we're left, in the middle of a labyrinth, staring at doors that may never open, with the people who built them still lurking just out of sight. Mopim's fight isn't just about his brother anymore. It's about what happens when a machine that silences icons decides to crush anyone who asks the wrong questions. We're not just dealing with a cold case. We're staring down an industry that would rather rewrite history than confront its ghosts. The Cuba files, the Keefe D confessions, the missing witnesses, and the high-priced lawyers all point to a single, sobering reality. The truth here is a live wire, and the hands that touch it too carelessly tend to vanish or wind up in the tabloids for all the wrong reasons. Now we want to know what you think. Are the Cuba files a smoking gun or another masterclass in misdirection? Is Diddy the puppet master or just the world's most unlucky scapegoat? Was Shakur silenced for good, or did he outsmart everyone and slip away to a new life while the world was looking the other way? Drop your wildest theories and sharpest hot takes in the comments, because the only thing more dangerous than a buried truth is a public that stops asking questions. Until next time, keep your eyes open, keep your receipts, and remember, in the world of celebrity scandal, nothing ever stays buried for long. Stay tuned and stay bold.